Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm, and in this video in the Life Explained series I would like to talk about giving. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that we are altruistic by nature, giving without wanting anything in return? Philosophers have thought about this question for a long time, because there are many who claim that whatever humans do, they only do it for themselves, for self-preservation or species preservation. And this includes the act of giving. But why are we giving or serving others? Are there any hidden motives? For instance, like, do we want to look good? Do we want to look even better than others? Do we expect something in return, like a simple thank you? Do we expect that by us giving to someone, something great will come back to us like a good karma? Or do we think that God will see our action and give us a big golden star in our book of life? Now, all these hidden motives question the existence of true altruism, but a mystic is not concerned with any of this. A mystic knows that the only person he can give to is himself. Because a mystic knows there is no separation between himself, the world, creation and God. It is all one. Let me explain this with a simple example. Remember when you last cut one of your fingers and it started to bleed. What did you do? You probably went to your first aid kit and got some Band-Aid and put it on your finger. That's all you did. Did you ever think for a single moment that you were actually doing something good to your little finger? Most likely not. You just responded very naturally to a little emergency, and you knew that if you didn't stop the bleeding, the finger and eventually the whole hand could get infected. Now just look at this hand. This hand symbolizes something far more. It's like all of us. We are like fingers on one hand. We are all one. No fingers on its own. It doesn't matter whether the other person lives in Bangladesh, Timbuktu, or whether he is your brother and sister. Irrespective where anybody lives, there is no separation in reality. And Jesus put it so well, love thy neighbor as thyself, meaning love thy neighbor who is thyself. Now, once we see the other person as a direct part of us, we can get a much clearer understanding of what the person actually needs. Our caring and our compassion are instantaneous and genuine, just like it was with the injured finger. It is impossible to give anything, like here a present for instance, to someone with whom we are not directly and closely connected, because it is all one. It is all one big oneness, it's all God. We are all individually vibrating as part of a single whole. And when we live in this awareness, this deep understanding of unity, we no longer think of the other as being separate from us. We begin to live in a constant sense of complete unity with the all. Now, this is not some kind of new age stuff. Unified field research or superstring field fully supports the underlying unity of life and the universe. The core unity of existence says that you and I are one. And scientists speak of the ocean of existence, where the waves are like a multitude of universes bubbling up from the ocean. Some only live split seconds and others billions of years like ours. And love is a discovery that the others are not really others, but ourselves. 1 + 1 = 2. Now we think this is quite normal. Everybody would think so. But that is only done with our head, with our intellectual mind, with our intellect. That separates parts. But with our heart, 1 + 1 is always 1. You see, the heart unifies, the intellect separates. Now the act of giving begins to look quite different, doesn't it? When we now send $100 to some charity in another country, we are actually giving it to ourselves. And when we now spend some hours serving or helping another person, we are actually giving that time and energy to ourselves, because the other is part of us, just like the fingers are part of one hand. This means there can never be any loss. There is never any sacrifice. I can never have less by giving to others. It's simply impossible. Once we fully understand this, all our giving changes. It becomes a natural responding to a situation that requires our attention or our time or our money. No more any confusing inner dialogues about the motivation of our action. It becomes a natural responding, just like you did when you put that Band-Aid on your finger. And we feel good that we were able to respond. Now, why have our religious institutions never told us about this different way of giving? Well, many still believe in separation from each other, separation from God, and so on. But also because traditional way of giving is always accompanied by guilt. And if we don't give as we are asked, we will feel guilty. And guilt is a magnificent manipulator of the masses. But if we give out of guilt, are we really giving? No, we are trading. We are trading in the hope to get acceptance, approval, a good appearance, a good karma, a thank you, or whatever. And churches that urge their parishioners to give generously and reap the Lord's bounty in return are also not talking about giving, but about trading. But everything changes once we begin to understand that we are all one with any other person in the world, just like the fingers of our hand.